And we should be live. Right, so hello again. And yeah, everyone feel free to ask questions. Remember to use the word question, as yeah, we already have one. So the first question is, how good is the Python support in the Ubuntu SDK? Any plans to make it better?
So he's already implying that it's not good now. I don't know if Benjamin, do you have?
Well, there's no official support, at least not from the IDE.
So hello again. And yeah, everyone feel free to...
Someone has the stream open in the background. So yeah, actually, so there's no support right now, official at least. Actually, I didn't try to deploy any Python app from the IDE, so actually I don't know.
Yeah, the point is we have a lot of work with supporting QML, C++, Go. So yeah, I don't think we will have the resources to add more like Python. But yeah, everybody is free to add support if they want and to use Python, of course.
So basically, it should work because you can package all you want in your click package. You need to know, of course, how to structure the click package, but yeah, there are just no high-level tools to support you, but it should work.
Yeah. So the next question is there any support for Golang in the Ubuntu SDK?
Yeah, there is the experimental plugin we had, but at the time when we did work on that, the Go version we had in Ubuntu wasn't ready for cross building and stuff like that. So at that point, we had some workarounds by using the device as build device and stuff like that. So it's not really nice to use. And I don't know if the current Go version already supports all we need, so I need to check that. As soon as we have more, as soon as we have a proper Go cross-build story that we can build on, I think we can go back on the Go plugin and continue to work on it when there is time, of course.
And Stuart is saying something which I'm not sure if that's a question. He's saying once the Ubuntu component store exists, it would be super excellent to have Zyga's work on lib other sides, libpy other side SO. Again, as a component, so people can use Python just with UCS install Zyga py other side. So that actually seems like a nice idea. So that in principle there could actually be support for a language that's at least not currently officially supported, and yeah, maybe install it using the Ubuntu component store. So well, you don't have to rely on the built-in support so much.
Yeah, that's a good idea actually. When we assume that we have the structure we talked about yesterday by pulling in QMake project, basically it can do everything, right? It doesn't need to be a QML component. It can be a Qt library as well. So there is no limit on what you can do as long as it's a valid QMake project and as long as it installs the library into the right directory, it should work.
Next question. What is this component store I keep hearing about? What does it do? So I guess it may be a good idea to actually, yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen the session about it, to watch the video in hindsight. But yeah, maybe just to find out what it is. So the component store is essentially a way to install third-party components which are not part of the SDK, but contributed by third-party developers. So you include them in your own Click package, and basically they become part of the application, even though they may not be part of the standard images. Yeah, Necklace, correct me if anything's missing or.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to that I can add that in the component store we provide both curated components and community components. So if you as an app developer are interested in providing us with your components, then you could easily upload it to the store with a simple command, or you could also go through an extensive code review process and add documentation and so on, and add it to the curated store. And our goal, in a way, is to, especially with regards to the curated store, is that it's sort of like a temporary landing place where components stay there for a while, and then perhaps they would be candidates for the inclusion in the SDK, and that's up to the SDK team to choose it, if it comes to that. Yeah, I think that's. I think the best thing would be to look at the session, and we also have some documentation ready. We have a project page at Launchpad, which you can find at launchpad.net/component-store. I'll add the links to IRC, and you can find more information about it there.
I see a lot of questions from Akiva. So, yeah, first of all, it's like to have like an introduction round that, okay, if you guys are missing from the SDK team, Zsombor, who is the tech lead, he is the head designer of the UI toolkit. Benjamin is the brain and hand of the SDK tools, the ID, the Qt Creator and Qt Creator plugin. Christian and team are on the UI toolkit work, and Loic, who is not present, I think he's doing family stuff too. He is our OpenGL and Ubuntu Shape guru in the team, and I'm the janitor, so I take care of many details. And Timo Jurinki, who is our Qt maintainer, Qt packager, and our CI guru. So that's what the SDK team is about. And there was a question about the Debian packaging and the support of Debian packaging. When we released the 0.0001 version of the SDK, we started off with Debian packaging. So when you created an application with template, then you made a package. It was a Debian package template. So in the beginning it was there, but since we moved on to Click packaging, and even more we go to the Snap packaging word, I think the Debian, the .deb packaging for front-end applications is going to be less and less relevant. I don't think you want to struggle with that. We don't want entry-level developers and the newcomers and those who want to focus on application development to struggle with Debian packaging. Debian in the snappy word is going to stay for core development. So if you develop something correlated, then it's going to be the Debian style at certain level. But if you are contributing to those places, then you know what to do with the dhmake and the Debian packages.
So we have one more question. What is the difference between Snappy and Click? Is Click obsolete? Sultan, maybe you want to continue on that?
Good question. Actually, there is a core track on the online summit, and I do suggest to participate to those sessions or look the videos of the sessions recorded. So it's a very good summary. All in all, Snappy is the next generation of Click packages. So it's about the same, but a little bit more. So with Snap you can do more. With Snap you can create frameworks. You can create kind of like bundles of libraries and similar to dependencies as we knew. And Snap is a bit more advanced and more generic. So Snap packages are made for more generic devices, not only for the phone and not only for the desktop. It's really for all type of devices that use Ubuntu Core. it's an advanced click in that
Yeah.
sense.
So after this session is done in 45 minutes, there will be a snappy Q&A session. So go and ask your questions there.
Yeah, go there. It's a good one.
Akiva has a lot of questions today, which is good.
Akiva is
Otherwise, we
asking,
would.
what are the future plans of the SDK? Look the video of the previous session, which was the roadmap of the SDK.
Yeah, he was here.
Yeah, I know. I know you know. You're good. You are good, Akiva. You will go far.
I don't know, it's not a question exactly, more like an observation. Like right now with the new Qt Quick controls that are landing in upstream, there are a lot of components like checkbox and switches that are already there in upstream, and you might not need to sort of duplicate that effort in the Ubuntu SDK itself. So it would be really nice if, like in the later cycles, especially for the 2.0, where you clean up components and remove deprecated stuff, it'd be nice if you guys could derive from those upstream components, because like I've noticed like there are some additional properties in the upstream checkboxes, for instance, that are really helpful to the app developer, and we don't have it in the Ubuntu SDK because of that, because we don't derive from them essentially.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, we need to check that out. But also sometimes we have like a base class that we use. Our theming, for example, is different, and all our components derive from a styled item, and we add some functionality there, which sometimes the components and the Qt Quick controls, which I don't have. So it's not straightforward to use it, but yeah, we have to check it out more. And you say we shouldn't duplicate the effort, but some of the things, for example, the checkbox and the button, I don't know, it wasn't released yet in Qt Quick controls when we were working on it. Maybe it was partially done, but some stuff was developed in parallel. So some things we just needed, and it was not done yet in Qt Quick controls, especially for devices like a phone. So yeah, that's why we didn't make optimal use of it. But yeah, it's certainly a thing that we should look at. Like I said in the previous session, especially for the convergence on desktop. So the Qt Quick controls, they have some more components for the desktop, like menus, that we don't have yet. So we should really take a look to see how much we can collaborate with the Qt Quick control developers.
So next question from Akiva: have you thought about collaborative editing on the Ubuntu SDK, say using the Gabi libinfinity API? To be honest, I don't know what that actually is.
Collaborative editing is when it's sort of like Google Docs, except that you can run the code at the same time.
Okay, so we are using Qt Creator. So for that such a core functionality, we really depend on what Qt Creator developers do. I haven't heard about initiative like that, so to do that. And we were discussing with other people from Ubuntu community and architects and designers whatsoever to which direction the SDK should go, and there were ideas of doing some kind of online SDK on that, which is a great idea. It's a brilliant idea and sounds very attractive, but obviously it brings its own problem. So if the code is on the cloud, in that sense, so it's somewhere in the cloud, then at each build cycle, each testing cycle, you need to pull off the code, build it locally, push back. So there is a lot of traffic which is not necessarily comfortable for many developers. So to have it like an additional add-on, an extension, or create a mode, could be, but I don't really see it's coming. I don't really see.
Well, of course we all contribute to the same code base using Bazaar, and we merge different branches. So I'm wondering, Akiva, if you have a use case for when you want to edit the same source file with two people at the same time. Maybe there are use cases, but I cannot think of them right now.
The only use case I could think of would be something like prototyping, maybe.
Or teaching somebody to, or debugging, for instance, together. I guess like there's maybe people who come out on the IRC channel asking for help in why their particular code doesn't work. But yeah, it is a I don't know.
Yeah, that is actually a good use case. Yeah. Yeah, now it happens sometimes that people ask for help, and then we try the code, and then we have to create a new branch, and then, oh, look at this branch, and see the changes that I made. So, yeah.
As a Kickstart, I added the Pastebin mode and the IRC to the Qt Creator. So if you install the Ubuntu SDK, you have the web view for Pastebin and the IRC. So that kind of brings developers together at some level. Actually, it would be fun to add maybe not the source code editor, but kind of like the Etherpad or some collaborating editing view in one mode. That would be an interesting idea.
Actually, Etherpad would be interesting. Also, what is that application that you can use to share the desktop windows of, it's like SSH, but it's for the desktop.
I don't know, but yeah, I see the point. I see your thinking and like pushing the SDK to more collaborative direction. It's good. It's very interesting. We need to discuss a bit more about that.
Yeah, for some things we kind of do edit together, but that's where before we actually implement a component, we have API discussion. So then it happens often that we have either Etherpad or something similar, or a Google document that we have it open. We write APIs and we just discuss, should we do it like this or like this. But then after we finalize the API, usually it's one person implementing it and one person reviewing it. So that doesn't happen in parallel. Let's see if there are more questions. Well, Akiva is asking if there are plans to add more languages to the Ubuntu SDK. We have C++, QML, and there's some Go stuff happening, but I think in addition to that, we don't have resources to add support for more languages. As I said before, like when you asked about Python, you can use it, of course, and it's, yeah, we are happy if you write a nice application using Python, but there are no resources to automate stuff using Qt Creator for Python, for example.
I think the next language we really want to support in a productional level is the Go language. I think that's the next big. So C, C++, Python, Go. Many people are talking about Node.js and whatsoever. So there are plenty of options here to support. Yes.
Next question.
There was one question. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, the next question is from Neklish. Would it be possible to add a run command that runs an app on the phone in a different language to test its localization feature? Right now, I usually switch the entire OS language to test apps.
I mean, what I'm meant to say is like right now you can build and install applications on your phone, and it would be nice to test applications on a different language other than yours, so that you can test if every string is translatable, and yeah.
So I can at least suggest a quick hack you can use for that, which would be to actually use code to change the language for your application. Though I would agree it would be nice to have a more handy way to do that without having to change your code.
Can't you like set environment variables to change that? In the run configuration for your phone or for your app, you can set environment variables. I think this is controlled by envvars, right?
Yep, that should work too.
Yeah, it's using gettext. So the way you would configure gettext on your computer, you can do the same on the phone. Yeah, I think it should work. I didn't test it recently, but
Yeah, I mean, like I remember, like long time back, I think David Planella told me a command to test to use that to test on the phone. And the thing is, like, I usually save it to some locations, but many times, like when you keep creating new projects, new branches, and you have to manually do it. So I figured, okay, if in the SDK you can provide like a menu option saying, well, run this app, say in a specific language or something, then it'll be just a one-click away, pretty much. I mean, it's more like a feature request rather.
yeah, well, probably that would be up to Benjamin. He's doing all the GUI stuff for Qt Creator.
Yeah, well, we probably could have something like that. We need to discuss on that, I guess, where to put it and how to do it.
Next question by David Kalle. He says, how can you bundle extra Qt Quick modules in a click? For example, if an app needs Qt WebKit.experimental.
Yeah, so basically you can ship everything in your click package. You just need to know the right place where to put it. So the library load path in a click package is always set to /lib, and then the GNU triplet, the for example x86 _ 64 Linux, whatever, GNU Linux. From there, libraries can be loaded. So you need to put them in the right place. I know there is not much documentation available for that. But you can check out how our plugin builds the click packages, and there you can see where to put libraries and where to put Qt plugins and so on.
Okay, next question by Cheeseburg. Does the SDK offer an equivalent to Android intents? Well, we do have the Content Hub, so if you want to communicate with another application, but for example, if you need to open an image or any kind of file, you can use the Content Hub for that. Yeah, for Android intent, I don't think we have something exactly like that. So I would say you would have to use the Content Hub. I don't know if anybody has something else to say about that.
I think it's pretty much correct. There's just one thing notably missing at the moment, which would be actually a way to open, for instance, a selection of web browsers when you click a link. So right now that is partially hard-coded at least. But I think that's the main piece that's missing to actually catch up with Android's feature.
I see one. Aquarius was asking about the emulator. I think you want to talk to Sergio. So when you talk about like when the emulator will be able to upgrade it rather than having to create a new separate emulator, I do share the pain, and it's really up to the emulator. It's not in our hands. So you want to talk to Sergio. Okay, Akiva was asking about Golang. What's great about it? Just accept the fact. Go is cool. Go is the future, and Go is great. So I don't know why. I don't think there is a way to argue for certain language. I think Go is the what C does. So if you do services, if you do concurrent uh, uh, applications, service level applications, I think Go is superior. And having a QML front end with a Go back end, I think it's a good combination. It's a simple, clean, and easy solution. It's a little bit cleaner than C++.
I think Ken is following up on the question about Content Hub and Android Intents, respectively. So there are apparently plans to add a picker for URL dispatcher when there are multiple handlers installed. So it seems like that's going to be there soon.
Yeah, and Aquarius is saying that there are custom URL schemes for communicating between apps. Yeah. Thanks.
Stuart, you are being unfair with me. I think I answered why Go is cool. Yeah, Necklash was asking a good question. Have the SDK team member thought about creating an app thereby? Yeah, I think it's a good idea. We have created few apps, few example apps, and a component gallery, but like a real app, this is something we need to talk to the people who like our boss say that we need to get like license to hack around with applications, but maybe in our free time at some point it would be nice.
Yeah, actually we were always planning like for sometimes to everybody to work on an app, so we actually use our toolkit, but then we worked on the toolkit and lots of people use it and have feature requests and bug reports, so then it's more important to fix that first.
I have created a few apps, mind you. So I'll say if you think nobody has created apps, you may not have seen the whole store. I've at least made one QML application to be able to read some online manga and a few web apps. And I'm really dying to write some scopes, but yeah, for this basically the time is the issue. Since yeah, I'm hardly getting beyond the past of playing around with it and making it something stable and polished is, you know, eating time.
Yeah, I started this few tiny apps for myself, and then I didn't have time because I had to work on the UI toolkit.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like with the store, it's really difficult to find applications made by a specific author developer, you know. So yeah, that's the issue with the discovery. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I have to leave the hangout. Thank you very much. Carry on with the session and see you later. Cheers.
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 Bye.
So I think we skipped one or two questions. There was a question from Akiva. Launchpad is now supporting Git. What will this mean for the Bazaar plugin? To be honest, I don't think it should have any immediate effect since it's not like Bazaar's going anywhere that I know of. So I don't expect there to be any change as long as Bazaar is still supported in the same way.
So Michael Zanetti just pasted the URL in response to Nakalash's question to find applications developed by certain developers.
Perfect.
Yeah, listing all the apps. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'll
so
give it a
let's.
try.
Oh, Christian has 1, 2, 5, 7 applications.
Web apps are cool. And then web apps are much easier to create. That's why, yeah, most of them are web apps.
Winamp 2 is a
Much
web
more
app.
time to make a complete app.
Yeah. Okay, Akiva's asking what needs work on the SDK. Well, I guess you can find the project on Launchpad. There's a huge list of bugs. Let me check how many bugs we have open. Well, there's so much to do, so just tell us what you're interested in working on, and we will find some bugs for you.
Oh yeah, in continuation of the question, do you guys mark certain bugs as bite-sized so that perhaps new contributors to the SDK could take a look at them? And yeah.
No, we didn't do that actually. I don't know. Usually, if they're bite-sized, we just fix them.
Yeah, and that's the problem, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, well, lots of people use this project, so a lot of people report bugs. So it's already quite some work to deal with all the bugs, to sort them, to confirm them, to assign them to someone, and to see how they can fit in the planning. Yeah, but it's maybe it's a good idea. Yeah, we could start doing that for some things that cost time, that we don't have, which we don't have a lot of, but that somebody who likes to contribute to the UI toolkit can work on. Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's see, there's a huge question from Aquarius. He's saying, I open up Ubuntu SDK right now, today, on 14.04, and I have the option to create QML app with simple UI, and CMake and QMake. I understand that QML project is going away. However, QMake requires a kit using at least a 15.04 clicks route. So how will I build apps that will run on my 14.04 desktop once the QML project template is removed from the SDK? That's a big question. Benjamin, do you know the answer to that?
Well, on the desktop you can always run, because the desktop will have QMake. Yeah, so the change routes don't have. So if you need 14.04 support, you need to use CMake, I'm afraid. But it's not like we are going to just stop supporting the QML support. What happens at the QML project support? So what happens is first that we just won't provide a template anymore, but the plugin still will have the functionality that it has right now. We would just not provide the template anymore, and after some time we probably will remove the support as well, or move that in an extra plugin that can be enabled if it's required. Yeah, we didn't decide about that yet, so yeah.
Yeah, Akiva is helping us to fill the time by asking questions about the tab indents and white spaces on IRC. So yeah, actually I like the current 4-space indents for a tab, because otherwise the lines get way too long, and my yeah, maybe my screen is not so large that I can view huge lines at once.
I will admit that if you're developing QML code, then you do need 4-space indents. The 8-space indents will quickly fill up the side of your screen. But for Qt and for C++, I think 8-space indents are superior. What do you think?
Well, I think for me it's the same for Qt and C++. I like the 4.
Yeah, same here. I use 4.
I'll have you know that Linus Torvalds thinks that is blasphemy.
Sorry, he thinks what? He thinks 8 is better?
Yeah, I think I actually read on the what do you call it? The coding guidelines that the Linux kernel need to use 8-space. I'm not sure if it's spaces or tabs, but it's definitely 8 spaces.
Yeah, so I guess if you're contributing to the kernel, I would follow those guidelines. And we are doing Qt stuff, so we kind of follow the Qt guidelines.
I would say that Qt code is easier to read, so we don't need so many spaces.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see, Aquarius has another question. The drive to daily quality meant that Ubuntu stuff is now not considered ready for release until it has tests and they work, which is great. Would you consider a daily docs rule where things aren't able to be released until the docs are definitely up to date and published? From Nakalesh's comment, I get that he likes it.
Well, I think it's not exactly the same situation. So there's a few problems we have with that at the moment, where we try to have updated docs, but there's some reasons for that due to the infrastructure. So for instance, the system actually building the docs for the website is not part of the code. So for instance, the actual package uploads have the code to build offline docs, but not the same code is used to actually build the docs going to the website. So builds will actually automatically fail if there's new API being added that is not documented. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be documented well, but at the least it will abort if it's not documented at all. If, for instance, there's a new function, it has to have some documentation. But whether it will automatically update depends on another system. So that's, I think, a bit more complex in that sense. I think we don't have a perfect solution yet as to connect all these and sort of make these part of the process. And then whether the release is actually ready and docs may be fine doesn't necessarily depend on whether the doc website can handle them. So I think there's some tweaks we need to do there.
Well,
but it's not as simple.
It depends on the project also. For example, with the test, I think there's no automated way to see that every line of code was tested actually. But for example, in the UI toolkit, we don't land stuff if there's no test, but that's up to the reviewer to see, and the same goes for documentation. So it's I think it's a manual process. So in the UI toolkit, all the public API needs to be documented, obviously. So that's documented, and I think it's on a per project basis. So if you are writing an application that you're the only person who's working on it, I don't think we can force documentation for the APIs of that application.
So Stuart is directly responding. Yeah, there are infrastructure issues, but when Rick said everything must have tests, if you'd said, but testing frameworks don't work yet, he would have said, so you have to fix them. Yeah, I do somewhat agree. It's certainly good to have a high bar. So yeah, I mean, I like to think at least we are doing something at the moment, and we do have some checks in place to be sure we have a certain minimum of docs, and yeah, it just won't be easy to make this work across different projects, and as Tim said, different ways to document different tools doing these things, and yeah, generating different files. So yeah, I think we probably can get there at one point.
Let's see, next question, I think for Benjamin again, from Nicholas. Now that Ubuntu Components 1.3 and the Wiley development cycle are open, can we expect an Ubuntu SDK 15.10 Dev 1 framework soon?
So, I don't know. We are not the ones who release the framework. So that would be a question for Lul, I think. He's doing that. So yeah, I cannot comment much on that.
Okay, so Akiva is asking if there's a sample app or showcase that will test monitor phone's internal components like GPS, compass, gyroscope, flux, etc., flux capacitor, etc. I don't know of an app like that, so feel free to write one. I don't know, maybe there's something, but I haven't seen it. Ah, wait. Michael Zanetti gave a link to something called, let's see. There's a sensor status app.
I actually have a question from a while back. I remember asking Michael Hall this. By what means do you plan on telling an app whether it's in desktop mode, phone mode, TV mode, tablet mode? From what I understand, we're still doing this by the window size. Is there any plans to change that, or does my question make sense?
Yeah, yeah, you can use the window size at the moment, and we are going to add other somewhere some properties that tell you whether there's a keyboard attached or a mouse attached or.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the functionality. So you should be able. Well, not yet, but you will be able to get an event when the user attaches a mouse, for example, or a keyboard. So you can have your app layout depend on that, but it's still not there.
Yeah, I mean, the lines are blurring, right? I mean, you could have a laptop which and could have a larger screen size, for instance, or maybe it's connected to a monitor. And from what I've seen from design is that you shouldn't design your application if it's running. I mean, you shouldn't check if your application is running on a tablet, phone, or desktop, but rather you should just look at the factors such as the screen size, the input type, and so on, and then use that to adapt your app, I guess.
Yeah, you can have a tablet app, and then you attach a keyboard, and once the keyboard is attached and you like to use it, maybe you want to navigate using the tab key, so you don't have to switch to the full desktop application, but you should show the focus highlight, for example, on the component, so you know where you're typing or which component you will activate by pressing the return key or spacebar.
I wasn't in the other session when this was sort of being talked about, but there seems to be a lot of ambiguity, at least for me, in regards to how a developer is supposed to handle theming his application. On one hand, if you look at some of the core apps, they basically have just a component dedicated to setting manually the properties. Okay, this button will be green, this button will be this shade of gray, and that sort of thing. But on the other hand, I hear that it's ideally supposed to be handled by the engine, but I don't really know what that really means. Does my question make sense? Can you expand on that?
I also don't know what it means by the engine. If you mean, well, some components you can set the color using theming. So by default, for example, buttons are gray, but if you want all your buttons to be yellow, you would change it in the theme, the default button color. But for example, if you have a phone app, you want a red button to hang up and a green answer button. So then you would just set the color of the component. So the theme sets the default colors, but if you want to override something, just in one instance in your application, you would just set a color property of the component.
Well, in that case, because usually, from what I've seen, is when you theme your components, you basically theme pretty much everything, right? Very rarely are you leaving something default color, and so you might go. You might use the Ubuntu library, so you might say ubuntu.colors.green or whatever, or ubuntu-colors.green. Depending on the theme, will that basically change that property of that library? I'm not sure if I make much sense. So, like, if you're using sort of a high contrast theme. Sorry, go ahead.
So if you're changing the theme to set the colors, so of course if you change the theme, then you will have different colors. These colors and the styles are part of the theme. And you're mentioning high contrast themes. Well, I think that's related more to system theming, and I don't think we really have support for that yet, but that's something we need to discuss, like the high contrast, maybe maybe some special workarounds for people with bad vision or something. Maybe they need bigger buttons or some other feedback for selecting components.
I guess the question for that is that, okay, if I manually set the color here and then the user activates, high contrast theme for his whole phone, then when he opens up the app, because the property has been manually set, it's not going to be high contrast, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, if you set a color for a button, for example, it's going to have that color. But you could set the color to be taken from the palette, so the theme has a palette. And the palettes, they are not complete now. We will extend them to have more colors in the palette, and then you could have a high contrast palette, which takes care of showing everything high contrast. But if you have the single component color defined from the palette, of course it will take that color. So when you write an app, you can choose then just to hard-code the color or to take it from the palette.
By palette, do you mean a QML component just keeping all the properties in there, or by palette do you mean basically a library?
QML component. So we have the theme, and the theme has a QML component called palette, and in there you set colors.
I'd like to get some confirmation on that, because for some reason I kind of understood that was not the way that ideally should be done, but I have to talk to Stuart. If anyone else can confirm or why I'm wrong here, please do so. As I said, it's ambiguous, but I guess we're almost done here, aren't we?
Yeah. 1 minute left in the session. Yeah, actually for the theming there's a big change that landed in our staging already. So there's a new theming engine that includes sub-theming. So you can have a popover with a different theme, and then all the, for example, buttons in there have different colors also. Just an example, but you can change anything in just parts of your application. I think unless there are some urgent questions, I think we are out of time. There's 1 minute left in the session. Yeah, I think the time is up. So, yeah, thanks everybody for the questions. Thanks for Nicholas and Akira for joining the Hangout, and also thanks for the people on IRC asking questions. So,
yeah, thanks.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Cheers.